Welcome to BaytBushra. I'm Bushra and this is my home. Today we're making creme caramel, also known as flan or flan. I'm not sure what the correct pronunciation is. I call it creme caramel, so that's what we're gonna call it today. I love this dessert when I want to make something a little bit extra fancy for myself because it's basically made up of ingredients you always have. You always have eggs, you always have sugar, you always have milk. If you like creme caramel as much as I do, make sure you give the video a thumbs up and let's get started. There goes my water. Let's try that again. Alright guys, so this is almost everything you're going to need for this recipe. You will also need some hot water, which we will get to at the end of the recipe, but I'm going to walk you through this really quick. So you will need 2 cups or 500 mils of milk. The best kind of milk, I think the creamiest milk for this recipe is a whole milk, full fat whole milk. But if you want to use like a non-dairy milk like I'm using today, non-dairy milk works fine. Just make sure it's unsweetened. You also need vanilla in the form of like vanilla extract, or I have a vanilla pod here which I'm going to use. Some cinnamon, I'm going to use a cinnamon stick and some ground cinnamon to flavor the milk. You'll also need some sugar with a little bit of salt. You'll need 3 medium eggs, and that's for the custard part of the creme caramel. We're also going to make some caramel, right? And I have here some white sugar, half a cup of white sugar and 2 tablespoons of water. And this recipe makes enough for 4 ramekins, so it's a 4-person serving. And then you're also going to need like a dish like this. So my 4 ramekins fit snugly inside here, just perfectly. So make sure that your ramekins can fit inside your baking dish. And a strainer, and we're gonna start with the milk right here. Move things around. They just fit perfectly inside this. And we're gonna need that later, so I'll put that to the side. Okay, and we're gonna start with the milk. So for the milk, you're going to start this first so that you can infuse the flavors of the vanilla and the vanilla and the cinnamon as quickly as possible and for as long as possible. So I'm just going to put this one in here first, and I want to put this one as well. And for this, I'm going to squeeze out all of the beans from the inside and then also put that in there. Okay, I usually do this with a knife. You can use your hands or you can use a knife, doesn't matter. I've already sliced it, so that's why. Just drop your vanilla bean inside. And I'm gonna heat this on the stove until the sides get nice and steamy, but you do not want to boil this. So next I have this 4-cup Pyrex, and I like to do it in this kind of a bowl because it's easily pourable if I want to pour it. We're gonna crack these eggs in here, but I want to show you a very important trick. I'm gonna do one first. Okay. On the side of the yolk, there's always these like edges. We've removed that white part here from the yolk. So the white part, I'm not sure if I said this earlier, but that white part is just for suspending the yolk in between the egg whites. We want our custard to be silky smooth and soft. Okay, I think that's good. You just don't want you want it all to be one uniform yellow color, and the whites and the yolks should not be separated at all. And then we're gonna add our 2 or 3 tablespoons of sugar plus salt. Whisk again. We're gonna set that aside. And check on your milk. I'm gonna bring you and show you how steamy and lovely this is. So if we were to mix the egg mixture, the eggs and the sugar, plus the milk at this point, then you would cook your eggs. And that is probably the worst thing. So we're gonna leave this to the side so that the milk cools a little bit and the cinnamon and the vanilla continue to infuse. And then next we're going to work on our caramel. So if you've never made a caramel before, do not be worried, it's very easy. It's just melted sugar to the point of caramelization. So I have half a cup of sugar here. A couple of tips when you're making your caramel. First, it would be better to use white sugar because you can see the progression from white to a caramel color much better than if you use like a cane sugar, because that one already starts off as a little bit darker. Also, a very hot tip is to use water. And I do this because it gives me more time to swirl and to evenly, I guess, heat the caramel. So water is important. Okay, just a couple tablespoons. And you want all this water to melt. Okay, so I'm just going to move it around like this. As you can see, there are no utensils. You don't want to introduce anything here. You don't want to introduce like a stainless steel or wooden spoon or nothing. If you feel like you want to mix your caramel in any way, this is what you do. You just swirl. Just use a swirling motion so that you can evenly distribute the sugar, and everything can be hopefully heated quickly. or I mean heat it evenly. We're gonna take two things with us to the stove. The first thing is this caramel, and the second thing are your, or I guess things, are all of your ramekins. As soon as this hits that deep, beautiful amber color, the deep, beautiful caramel color that we want, you're going to pour them directly into your ramekins, and so you want those to be nearby. Here's the third stage of the caramel. It's the point where you think it's ready. Okay, I'm gonna do this first one. So you have to put enough for each bowl. I like to swirl this a little bit towards the edge because I want the milk to be encased kind of in the caramel. Here's our caramel. I absolutely love them. They're so gorgeous. I wish they were a little bit darker. The deeper the color, the deeper the flavor. I wish they were darker, but honestly I was worried about burning them on camera. Okay, so we're gonna put them in here. Now we have this dish nice and prepped. If you put your finger into your milk and it feels a little bit warmer than your finger, then it's the perfect temperature for mixing these together. So I'm gonna do this, pour this into here, pour the milk, and whisk, 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 and don't stop whisking because you don't want to cook your eggs. I know my milk is definitely too cold to be cooking these eggs at this point. But just in case, you always want to whisk this. The only problem you have now is the bubbles. I don't like the bubbles. I don't think they're good. So to get rid of those bubbles, I'm going to ladle this into my ramekins, and I'm going to use a small tea strainer to get rid of those bubbles and to get rid of any bits of eggs that may have cooked or bits of eggs that are not silky, creamy, smooth. And again, this is why I like to use the Pyrex, is because when I get to the end, just pour it this way. You guys ready for your final step? The final step is to make this into a bain-marie. It's a French word that means that we're gonna put water inside here in between the ramekins. And I heated up my water in a kettle. You can also use very, very, very hot water from the tap. Very important that you do not get any water inside your custard. That will ruin the texture of the custard. It's very important that you lift the water. The water should go up to 3/4 of the way. Up your ramekins, at least halfway to 3/4 of the way up your ramekins, and very, very, very carefully you're going to put this now into a preheated oven at 325 for about 30 to 45 minutes depending on your oven. The way you know that your creme caramel custard is cooked is when you put a very thin knife through the middle of one of the custards and it comes out clean, but when you wobble your custard, it's still a little bit wobbly. So you want to take it out before it's completely cooked. If you overcook your custard, it will taste more gloopy and kind of like scrambled eggs, and what you want to do is take it out right before it finishes cooking, and it will continue to cook and cool at the same time in that hot water. So I'm just going to put this into my oven and we'll see you in about 30 minutes. Okay, so I took my ramekin out of the fridge. It's been chilling overnight. Here it is in all its glory. I'm so excited to try it. What you're gonna need is a little plate, slightly larger than the size of your ramekin. So I got that, I got a nice fancy plate here. You're also gonna need a sharp knife to slice around the entire creme caramel and then use the plate to flip it. I'm gonna try to do this as straight as possible. Oh my lord. You can see that caramel already oozing out. This is so hard to do on camera. Okay, and we're going to use this to flip. Come on, guy. This one needs a little bit. Aha, there it is. You see the caramel already oozing out the sides. Let's hope, bismillah, this is straight. Yum. So the beauty of this dish is that it is silky smooth. Bismillah. Oh, you can't even see it. Oh, there it is. Mmm. Bismillah, mashallah, alhamdulillah, rabbil alameen. I'm scared to like drop this precious caramel all over myself. It's so silky and so creamy. Caramel is beautifully made. That top, you have like top speckled vanilla dots all over. It's so good. I need to sit down and enjoy this, honestly. Thank you so much for watching and for being here with me today. If there are other videos or other ideas besides just recipe content, like other food content, things you'd like to see. Let me know in the comment section below. I always love to see your comments, and I think that's all. Yeah, I will see you next time, inshallah.